Okay, so Act 1, Scene 2. Scene 1 ended with the search for Othello and the daughter, who is yet to be named. All right, back to Iago.
So with the trade of wives, slave men, yet do I hold the very stuff of the conflict. Do not contrive murder. Alas, iniquity. Sometimes do me service. 9 or 10 times I have thought that have your ear.
Tis better as it is.
All right, so here Iago is talking to Othello now, right? And confiding in him, saying, and we don't know who he's talking about, but he's like, I've killed a lot of men in battle, but I just can't, in good conscience, as a civilian, just stab somebody under the ribs. Even though I've thought about it 9 or 10 times already, thinking about killing this guy under the ribs. We don't even know who he's talking about. So he's telling Rodrigo, I hate Othello so much I want to kill him. Now he's telling Othello, I hate somebody, we don't know who, so much I want to kill him, right? So if that's not evidence that this guy is kind of a two-faced manipulator, I don't know what is, because he's totally confiding in both of these men who are supposedly, at least on Rodrigo's side, enemies. We don't know how Othello feels about Rodrigo, but Rodrigo definitely hates Othello. And it doesn't seem like Iago should be having this heart-to-heart with Othello if he truly hates him the way he says he does. Okay. Othello? Oh, sorry, you said that part. Iago, back to you.
Nay, but he prattled and spoke such screaming provoking terms against your honor, that with the little godliness I have, I did full heart forbear.
All right, so he's a big cat. He's like, this guy has been smack talking you, Othello. We don't know who it is.
But I pray you, sir, are you fast married? Be assured of this, that the man in your foe is much beloved, and have in effect a voice potential, a double attribute. He will divorce you, or put upon you will betray your agreements to law, with all his might to enforce not forget.
Let him do his spite. My services which I have done with Signory shall out Tommy's complaints. Tis yet to know. Wait. Tis yet to know when I know that boasting is not. I shall
Promulgate.
I fetch my life and being from men of royal siege and my demerits.
Demerits, those are my wrongs.
May speak. Unbonneted.
Unbonded, that means without a hat.
Unbonneted. To as proud a fortune as this that I have. For I know, Iago.
Oh no, he's assuring him for no Iago.
But that I love the gentle Desdemona. I would not my unhoused free condition put into the circumscription and confine from sea's work. Oh look, what lights from some ground.
All right, so he seems to be 100% assuring Iago, I love Desdemona. It seems to be legit. He wasn't just sneaking out in the middle of the night to get with her, to make the beast of 2 backs. He actually loves her and apparently has married her. All right, here come the men who've been searching for them.
Those are the raised father and his friends. You were best to go in.
Not I must be found. My hearts, my title, and my perfect soul shall manifest me rightly. Is it they?
All right, so he's feeling pretty confident. Like, I haven't done anything wrong. I've married her. I love her. I'll face whatever I have to face because he feels good about it. Now, maybe he shouldn't have done it without Dad's permission or behind her back, but, you know.
By Janice, I think, no.
The servants of the Duke, my intents. The goodness of the night upon you, friends. What is the news?
All right, so Cassio, remember, that's the guy that Iago seemingly hates because he got the promotion over him, right? And so in the middle of the night now, we've got Michael Cassio and the Duke showing up officers. And so on a separate kind of mission, there's 2 search parties happening in the middle of the night. There's the ones looking for Othello for having run off with Desdemona. But now we've also got Michael Cassio on official war kind of business on a search party as well.
The Duke is free, General, and he requires your case post-case here. He may on you.
What is the matter, thank you?
Something from Cyprus, as I made mine. It is a business of some heat. The galley one another's heels, and many of the council's ways and men are at the peak already. You have been probably called for. When being not at your lodging be found, the Senate has sent about 3 several requests to serve you.
All right, so more business happening and they need their general, they need Othello. So we've got 2 search parties looking specifically for Othello for two very different reasons.
'Tis well I am found by you. I will look spend a word here in the house and go with you.
Ancient, what makes me here?
Fate, each night hath boarded a land hard. If it proves lawful prize, he may refuge.
I do not understand.
He's married.
To who?
Married to Contact. Will you go?
Happily,
Here comes another group to seek for you.
All right, so here comes, we got the war party that found him. Now we got the dad party that has found him.
It's Parmentio. General, be advised. Comes to that intent.
Allah, stand there.
Signor, it is the more.
Tell him with him, please.
All right, so they draw their swords. They're gonna attack Othello in the street here.
You, Rodrigo, come, sir. I am for you.
Keep up your bright sword, for the dew will rust. Good Signor, you shall more command with ears than with your weapons.
All right, so Othello, I mean, you gotta imagine, he's a general, right? And generals in that time weren't like 60, they were smoking hot like 30. You know, they were still on the battlefield, they were proving themselves, okay? And so here we got dad with his sword, "Oh, I'm gonna get you, and Othello's like, dude, put it away, right? Like, you'll command more respect with just with your age than with your sword, because honestly, Othello would probably knock him over with his thing, right? And so he's like, no, put it away. All right, Brabantio?
O thou foul of thieves, where hast thou stowed thy daughter? Damned as thou art, thou hast enchanted her. For I'll refer me to all things of sense. If she in chains of magic were not bound, whether made so tender, fair, and happy, so opposite to marriage, that she shunned the wealthy curled darlings of our nation, would ever have seen her general moth run from her carriage the storied bosom of such a thing as thou, to sheer such delight.
All right, so what's dad's speculation here? Why has Desdemona sought out the sooty chest, meaning, again, a reference to his skin color? Why would she possibly have gone off? Yeah. Yes, love potion. He must have somehow roofied her, something, right? Like, there's just no way he can wrap his head around why she would have rejected all of the wealthy curled darlings of our nation. I don't know what, like these wimpy men that keeps pulling up, like, here's the, this heir to this dukedom or whatever, right? And apparently Desdemona hasn't really been interested in any of the men that dad has offered up. But you bring in the smoking hot general. He's a foreigner. He's got stories. He's got adventures. He's still physically very capable because he goes on the battlefield and kills people, so just smoking hot, right? Is it that hard to imagine that Desdemona might actually
in love
be,
with her, so like that.
and
kinda
he's in
helps
love with
out
her, right? Like, come on, right? Is it that hard to think, really did it have to be magic or drugs? Okay,
Judge me the world, if 'tis not gross consent, that thou hast practiced on her with foul charms. Abuse her delicate youth with drugs or minerals that weakens motion. I'll have it disputed on. 'Tis probable and palpable to think. I therefore apprehend and do attach thee for an abuser of the world, a practicer of arts inhibited and out of bounds. Lay hold upon him. If you do resist, subdue him at his turn.
right, so arrest him for witchcraft is essentially what he's saying, because he must have drugged her. There's no other possible explanation why Desdemona would into Othello.
Hold your hands. Both of you mind fighting and press. Were it my cue to fight, I should have it known without a problem. Whither would you that I go to answer this your judge?
To a prison, so fit time of law and course of direct session, called me to answer.
What if I do obey? How may the Duke be therewith satisfied? Whose messengers are here about my son? Upon some present business of the state, bring me to him.
Oh, somebody want to be an officer? feel the opposite. Okay, fine. 'Tis true, most worthy senior, the dukes in council and your noble self, I am sure is sent for.
Now, the Duke and Council, in this time of night, bring him away, hands on out of cause. The Duke himself, or any of my brothers of the state, cannot but feel this wrong as toward their own. For if such actions may have passage free, God and patrons shall our statesmen be.
Right, so he's like, fine, we'll take it to the duke, we'll let him decide, okay? All right, we have a duke, right? We're gonna need some senators though. So we know the senator one, and senator two. Sure. You got it, doesn't matter, one or two.
Sure.
Oh, okay, maybe you might have time.
Oh, okay, then never mind.
Okay, all right.
There's no composition in these news that gives them that.
Indeed, they are disproportionate. My letters say 107 galleys.
They're talking about ships, so we're in war discussions now, trying to figure out what's the real situation at hand.
And mine, 140.
And mine 200. But though they jump not a just account, as in these cases where they gain reports, 'tis often different. Yet do they all confirm a Turkish fleet and bearing up to Cyprus?
Right, so they all confirm that there's a fleet coming towards Cyprus, right? So they're gonna have to act, right? It looks like this is a legit threat that they're going to have to take military action.
9. It is possible enough to judgment. I do not so security in video, but the main article I do approve.
What oh? Oh, yeah, opposite too. A messenger from the galleys.
Now, what's this business?
The Turkish preparation makes for roads, so I was bid report here to the state by Signor Angelo.
How do you say by this change?
This cannot be by no mistake of reason. 'Tis a cabinet to keep us in place, false gaze, when we consider importancy of Cyprus to the Turk, and let ourselves again but understand that as it more concerns the Turk than roads, so may he with more facile question bear it, for that it stands not in such warlike grace, but altogether lacks the abilities that Rhodes is dressed in. If we make thought of this, we must not think the Turk is so unskillful to lead the latest with concerns at first, neglecting an attempt to ease and gain, to wake and wage a danger conflicts.
Here's more news. The Ottomites, reverend and gracious, steering with due force around the Isle of Rhodes, have there enjoined them with an active fleet
Aye, so I thought, how many as you guessed?
of 30 sail, and now they do restem their backward course, bearing with frank appearance their purposes toward Cyprus. Signor Montanto, your trusty and most valiant servitor, with his free duty, recommends you thus, and prays you to believe him.
This certain for Cyprus. Marcus Lucius is not
He's now in Florence.
right from us and post days. This
Here comes Barbancio and the valiant more.
All right, so significance there, lots of war talk, they gotta go, right? It's a serious threat, they're gonna have to actually take action. That's gonna be important. All right, Duke,
valiant Othello, we go straight into it. Against the general enemy of Ottoman.
right? So Duke is like, it's serious, we gotta go, Othello, we need you, you are our general, we need you to go and take action. And then now you're talking to
I
Brabantio.
did not see you, what would you insult to me? We lacked your counsel and your help tonight.
So did I yours. Good your grace, pardon me. Neither my place nor aught I heard of business hath raised me from my bed, nor doth general care take hold on me. For my particular grief is of so floodgate and forbearing nature that it engulfs and swallows other sorrows. And it is still itself.
Right, so he can't think of anything else, it engulfs everything else, the sorrow, what he's dealing with his daughter Desdemona is just beyond anything else that matters.
Why? What's the matter?
My daughter, oh my daughter.
Dad, right, that would be the logical conclusion, right, swallowing up all of your grief.
Aye, to me, she's a youth stolen from me and corrupted by spells and medicines, but of Mount Fast.
Which is, again, a sexual term, somebody who mounts someone, right? So she's been stolen by somebody who mounts, right?
For nature so preposterously to err, being not deficient, blind, or lame of sense, And witchcraft could not.
right? There's no way that this happened without witchcraft. I want you to do something about it.
It will be here. Keeping that in this tower of the city. Hath thus revealed your daughter of the sun, in your prayer. The bloody book of law, which on yourself with his bitter fire. After your own sins, yeah, thou art father's son, still.
All right, so whoever beguiled, that means tricked, whoever tricked your daughter, it's gonna get. Okay, that's what the Duke says.
Only I thank your grace. Here's the man, this one, whom now it's your special mandate for the state affairs has hither brought.
Right, the very guy that you're calling up to go and save the day militarily, he's the dude who did it.
Oh, we're very sorry.
Oh, we're very sorry. Terrible.
God in your own heart, please say.
Okay, but this is so.
Most potent, grave, and reverend secrets, my very noble and approved good masters, that I have taken away this old man's daughter, his most I have married. The very head and front of my family, half is extended. Rude am I in my speech, and little blessed with the soft grace. For since these arms of mine had 7 years fit, so now some 9 moons wasted. They have us,
They've used, because he doesn't say he said.
their dearest action, and little of this great world can I speak more than
Pertains,
pertains to feats of broils and death.
right? So he doesn't have a whole lot of words or experience of life other than being in battle. That's basically what he's saying.
And therefore little shall I grace my cause in speaking for myself. Yes, by your gracious patience, I will round unvarnished tale deliver of my whole course of love. What drugs, what charms, what conjuration,
Uh-huh.
and what mighty magic, for such proceeding I am charged with all, I won his son.
Right, so he's being very sarcastic. Like, I'll tell you all the magic I've used on her, because he didn't use any magic, right? Let me tell you how it really went down. Rancho?
Immediate made a never bold of spirit, so still and quiet that her motion flushed at herself, and she incited nature of years of country headed everything to fall in love with what she feared to look on. It is a judgment made, and most imperfect, that will confess perfection so earth against all rules of nature, and must be driven to find out practices of cunning help. Why this should be. I therefore vouch again that with some mixture powerful of for the blood, or with some dram, conjured to this effort, he wrought upon her.
Right, so some kind of drug, some kind of dram, some potion he must have used to come over her, to overwhelm her.
Without one wider is one over. That these thin habits or like but some
But Othello, speak. Did you by indirect and forced words to subdue and position this young maid's
Poison.
affections? Oh, poison, ha! Or can even by request in such fair question as soul to soul for that?
Right, did you poison her or not?
I do beseech you, send for the lady to the Sagittarius, and let her speak of me before her father. If you do find me foul with her, to trust the office I do hold it. Not only take away, but let your sentence even fall upon my.
Right, so if I drugged her, forced her, manipulated her, you can kill me.
That's just another.
All right, so they call for Desdemona, the daughter. Othello?
Ancient conduct them, you best know the place. And till she come as truly as the heaven, I do confess the vices. So justly to your brave ears I have sent how I did thrive in this fair lady's love, she and mine.
Say it.
Her father loved me, oft invited me, still questioned me the story of my life, from year to year, that seems fortune I passed. I ran it even from my boyish days to the very moment that he bade me tell him, wherein I spoke of most disastrous chances.
All right, so Dad has voluntarily invited Othello into his home on numerous occasions and asked him to tell the stories of his adventures, of the things that have happened to him. Right, now imagine impressionable Desdemona who's listening to these stories, and the guy sounds like freaking Hercules, right? And so you can imagine that might have a slight impression on her, especially because Dad's impressed by him too, right? So it seems like everybody loves this guy, right? Okay.
sins by flood and field. A pair of greatest scripts,
In the imminent,
deadly breach of being taken by the instant fall and sold to slavery. My redemption then, and for tense in my travels history, wherein entries vast and deserts idle, rough quarries, rocks and hills whose heads touch heaven, was my hint to speak. Such was my process. And of the cannibals that each other eat, the anthropophage, and then whose heads do grow beneath their shoulders. These things to hear. With Desdemona seriously inclined, but still the house of faith would draw her best, whichever as she could with haste fast. She arrogant.
right? So she'd have to go and do some chores, but then she'd rush right back because she'd want to hear more. I mean, the guy was enslaved and he lived with cannibals who ate people. These are big stories that slipped all over his travels, right? So she's totally drawn to all of his adventures and wants to hear more.
She'll come again, with the greedy ear devourer of my history, which I observing took once of pliant power, and found good means to draw from her a prayer in its part, that I would all of my pilgrimage dilate, whereof by parcels she had something, but not and I did consent, and often did beguile her. When I did speak some distressful strokes that my youth suffered, my story moved on. She gave me for my pain the world aside. She swore in faithful strange, was passing strange, was pitiful, was wondrous pitiful. She wished she had not heard, yet she wished that heaven had made such a she thanked and bade me. If I had a friend that loved her, I should but teach him how to tell my story. And then upon this day I spake. She loved me for the dangers I passed, and I loved her that she did pity. This only is the witchcraft I use. And here comes a lady. Let her witness it.
Right, so that was the only witchcraft, it's a telling tale. Here we go, Desdemona, what do you say? Duke?
I think the scale was in the daughter too. Take up this mangled matter of message that broke with weapons rather used to their
I pray you, hear her speak. If she confessed that she was half the wooer, destruction on my head, if my bad blame lay on the man. Come hither, gentle mistress. Do you perceive in all this noble company, where at most you owe obedience?
Ooh, that is a harsh question, right?
Yeah.
Who are you obedient, daughter? Are you obedient to me or to this man? Desdemona?
My noble father, I do perceive here a divided duty. To you I am bound for life and education. My life and education both do earn me. How to respect you? You are the lord of duty. I am hitherto your daughter. But here's my husband. And so much duty as my mother showed to you, preferring you before her father. So I must challenge that I may profess duty more, my lord.
Ooh, she is divided, right? She owes him for her upbringing, but she is married to the Moor.
God be with you. I have done.
He's out of here. He's like, are you kidding me?
Please it your grace onto the state affairs. I had rather to adopt a child than get it. Come hither more.
Right? That's a pretty harsh thing to say. I wish you were adopted. I really don't. Right? Because I actually fathered you. I'm still biologically connected to you. I wish I could completely dump.
I here do give thee that with all my heart, which that thou hast already, with all my heart, I would keep from thee.
Right? I'll give it to you with all my heart, although you already took it, right? And I wish with all my heart that you hadn't. But it's a very, very begrudged blessing because there's not really anything you can do about it at this point. They are legitimately married and apparently love each other.
For your sake, Jewel, I am glad at soul I have no other child. For thy escape, it would teach me tyranny. To hate Claudina, I have done, my lord.
Let me speak of your thought and lay a sentence, which is a rise or set in these letters to your patron. When remedies are past, the grace are ended. By seeing the works which lay that hopes dependent, to more the mischief that is past to gone, is the next way to draw the mischief on.
All right, so it's kind of good advice. The Duke's like, get over it. The more you dwell on this grief, right, to mourn a mischief that is past and gone, it's done. It's yesterday's news. It's over. right, is the next way to draw new mischief on. You're only gonna create more problems for yourself, more misery, if you don't just let it go.
What cannot be preserved with fortune takes, patience or injury are often makes. The rod that smiles steals something from the teeth. He robs himself that says it wants.
So let the Turk of Cyprus us
Beguile, that was trick.
we lose it not, so long as we can smile. He bears a sentence well, but nothing bears, but the free comfort which from thence he hears. But he bears both the sentence and its sorrow, that to pay grief must of poor patience love. He sentences to sugar or to gall, being strong on both sides are equivocal. But words of words, I never yet did hear that the bruised heart was pierced through the ear. I humbly beseech you, proceed to the affairs of state.
Right, so move on. Proceed to the affairs of state, it's time to move on.
The Turk with the most mighty preparation makes for sentence. Othello, the position of the place is best known to you. Though we have there a substitute of most of us should see, yet opinion a sovereign mistress facts, those of more sleep and bliss. You must therefore be content to sunder the loss of you, the fortunes, sports, rubber, and oyster says.
All right, so that last little thing, we kind of need here. I know you just got married. You must therefore be content to slubber the loss of your new fortunes. Meaning you don't get to go and enjoy your wedding night any more than you probably already have. You need to move on, okay? Because we need you in this new expedition. Kind of stinks. I know you just got married, but we need you to be a military guy right now.
The tyrant custom of spring centers have made the flinty and steel couch of war my thrice given bed of down. I do agonize, natural and electric alacrity, I find the carpets, and do undertake this present work against the odds. Most humbly therefore bending to your state, I crave fit disposition for my wife. To reverence, place an exhibition in such accommodation and resort as trouble with the free.
All right, so he needs some place to house his wife. You know, this was kind of a sudden thing. He didn't have housing set up. And it doesn't sound like staying at dad's house is going to be an option at this point when he goes off to war. So he needs some kind of accommodations for his,
If you please, even at
right? So dude's like, she could just stay at her dad's,
I will not have it so.
right? Nope.
Nor
That's not
I.
happening.
Nor I. I would not dare reside, to put my father in patient thoughts to being inside. Most gracious Duke, to my unfolding lend your prosperous car, and let me find a charter in your voice to assist my sympathies.
what would you do this?
I did love the more to live with him. My downright violence and storm of fortunes made trumpet to the world. My heart's subdued even to the very quality of my lord.
Right, so even though I would have thrown a fit to proclaim my love for the Othello, for the Moor, I'm actually pretty chill, pretty simple. I don't have a lot of needs. I don't need any great accommodations, right? So she's asking for his help and saying she's not high maintenance. I think that's still you.
Oh, oops. I saw Othello's
Visage,
Stop.
that's his face.
visage in his mind, and to his honors and stallion parts did I my soul and fortunes consecrate. So that, dear lords, if I be left behind, a moth of peace, and he go to the war, the rights for why I love him are
Correct.
reft, and I a heavy interim shall support. By his dear absence, let me go with him.
Right, so all the reasons that I fell in love with him, if you send him off to war, the rights for why I loved him are bereft of me. But getting with him on the wedding night part, I'm not going to get to enjoy. And that's why I married him. So send me to war too, she says, right? She's pretty blunt about it. She's like, I don't need any great accommodations, but I do need to be able to get with my husband. So send me too.
Let her have your voice. Vouch with me, heaven. I therefore beg it not. Please the power of my appetite. Nor comply with heat, the young effects that be.
Units?
And
Or
proper.
maybe it's defunct. It's
I think
defunct.
it's defunct. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to
Sorry.
Yeah, it's perfect. And proper satisfaction. But to be free and bounteous to her mind. And heaven defend your good souls, and you think I will have your serious, great business. Scant, for she is with me. No. When right-wing toys been to concealed with wanton dullness, I speculated in vice
Office
instruments,
instruments.
that might just work corrupt and taint my business. But housewives make a skillet of my helm and all in dine and base adversaries make head against my estimation.
Right, so essentially, he wants her there too.
Shall literally even say from her point affair, great price and sweetness.
Right, so figure this out, but you gotta go to war, okay? I don't know if you're taking your wife with you or not.
We must go away tonight. Tonight, my lord?
This night,
With all my heart.
at 9 morning, here from the again. Othello each sponsor shall our Christian in such things also quality respect and so forth.
So please, your grace, my agent, a man he is of honesty and trust, his conveyance I assign my wife. With what else needful your good grace shall seem to be said after me.
Let it be so. Good night, everyone.
All right, so the first description that we hear of Iago, my ancient, a man he is of honesty and trust to his conveyance, I assign my life. So Othello 100% trusts Iago.
To Provincia noble Senor, if virtue no delight will be lack, the son of law is far from them.
The Jew, brave Moor, you says among the well.
Look to her, Moor. If thou hast eyes, you should seek your mother and maybe.
All right, that seems actually like a good place to stop. Dad's warning, she deceived me, she could do it to you too, right? She snuck out in the middle of the night and she's not to be trusted. All right, good questions on that part? We'll finish up scene or act one pretty quickly next time. We'll take a quick quiz before we start reading act two, and we'll probably watch just a little bit.